Hello listeners, welcome back to the Comics Pals. I'm here at SPX and I'm joined by Alec Robbins.
Hi.
Alec, I've been a huge fan of your work since Mr. Boop.
Thank you.
The comics creator extraordinaire, writer, artist, and you've been debuting your most recent book, Crime Hot, which I've been following online, but your fourth book here is finally out,
yes.
And I managed to pick it up. I got all 4 signed, so very excited for that. And I like how you included each individual character.
I love that. Yeah. Now when I do the 5th one, I don't know which character to draw, but we'll figure it out. Because it's already one of the forecast, and yeah.
You might as well make it an orgy. You know?
Yes, exactly. And I'll spend 30 minutes drawing it for every person. Yeah.
At this point, it's well worth it. But I wanted to ask. So since transitioning from Mr. Boop to Crime Hot, how do you feel like you approach the book differently? Do you feel like you've grown as a creator or have a different mindset?
Yeah, I think with Mr. Boop, it was very much it was a specific joke that I was mining in every possible direction. It felt like I said, mining, because I knew what the themes were, I knew what I wanted to explore, and it was just chipping away at that. And that's similar with Crime Hot, because it's about liberation, it's about thievery, it's about what crime is, it's about sex, and the intersection of all of those, and authoritative police forces and algorithms. But with Crime Hot, I wanted to be more sincere with, Mr. Boop has some erotic elements. It dips into erotica from time to time, but it never fully commits. And I was like, I had fun trying that out. I would love to tell a story that allows me the freedom to completely dive into that world. And each chapter of Mr. Boop, or each chapter of Crime Hot, I'm like, can I make myself a little more uncomfortable about putting this in the public and having this attached to my name? And I'm gonna keep trying to push that with every chapter. 4 is the wildest one so far. It's borderline full pornography at this point, which is great. But yeah, I think I really want to take it more seriously as what would, if I was drawing erotica and taking it seriously, and also trying to couch it in a real story and lots of good comedy and fun characters. It's very Lupin the Third, it's very Cowboy Bebop. I want all those elements mixed together. And I don't want it to feel like it's only one of those things. Yeah.
And like you say on one of the titles, it's Cowboy Bebop plus Looney Tunes, and yes. I think that comes across exactly what it is.
I did a PowerPoint just for myself to keep all the themes organized, and it had a mix of Aeon Flux, Looney Tunes, Cowboy Bebop, and a couple others. But yeah, Aeon Flux is a big influence too on it, yeah, and Lupin the Third, of course, yeah.
Are you a big anime fan in that case?
Huge.
Yeah. What's the top tier?
Oh my god! I mean, it has nothing to do with. You can't see this in my work, but I love Ping Pong, the animation. It's by Masaki Yuasa, and it's just about the drive of competitive sports. It's not even about sports really. It's about finding something you really want to excel in, and learning to love that thing, and not letting it take you down, and not letting it wear you down, and meeting other people in your community who are also good at it and influencing each other. It's a beautiful work, and the manga is great too, but the anime is directed by Masaki Yuasa, based on a story by Taiyo Matsumoto, 2 of the best manga artist, best anime director together. It's amazing. Yeah.
I've seen pages of Ping Pong, but of the manga. I've not seen the anime, but I've seen the dynamicism of it, how stretchy people can get.
The manga looks already it's animated, and you're just reading it on the page. It's so. Yeah.
I like the lines get at some point just distorted and scribbly, and just I get the movement, you know.
The perspective, they're playing ping pong, but they're fully outstretched arm. The poses are amazing. Yeah.
Oh, dang, that's a really good pull. That's awesome. And I guess you've sort of answered some of my NSFW questions, but especially when it comes to combining those elements with comedy, how do you feel? Because those feel very distinct ideas, right? And not to say that erotica can't necessarily be funny or sex can't be funny, but how do you approach comedy in that case in your books?
I am so comfortable in the world of comedy. I've been focused in on doing comedy on stage, on paper, in any form since 2009. So this sounds maybe braggy, but it's not hard for me to explore comedy and be funny if I want to be. So that's the backbone that I can just always build on. I know it'll be at least a little bit funny if I'm working on it, which again sounds, but yeah.
You got the status, you're good.
Yeah, there we go, I can say it. So the challenge, like I said earlier, is I've never really explored erotica. I've never committed to that. So I'm using comedy almost as a safety net in some ways, where it's like, this I know is gonna work. I know how to tell a joke. I know how to land one. I know how to like write a funny character, and you understand their wants and needs and how to make those difficult to get for them. That all works. But the erotica mixing with it is, it's kind of natural to me. Like, I think I'm frustrated by a lot of erotica that's just straight up erotica without anything else to offer, which is, it's great on its own. I have no problem with that, but I'm always like, I would love to see someone inject it into something that you wouldn't normally just call porn, so to speak. Like, I would love it if a movie just had, like, if a standard studio comedy just had people being sexy in the middle of it. Sometimes not in like that raunchy American Pie style, but just in a sincere, like, yeah, this is fun. It is fun when you're engaging in these acts and like you're sharing something with another person. It's intimate. That's a very ripe field to explore for comedy. It comes very naturally just because I feel like, why isn't everyone else doing this? I can see it so clearly. I'm going to do it if you're not doing it.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of just like taboo associated to it, and so like you don't want to combine or I guess associate a positive thing to the sex when it's like, I mean, we're all doing it. Like, not a big deal.
But yeah, people are cowards. I don't know. They're not. But it's definitely, like you said, it's a taboo. Even when I make it, I'm always a little uncomfortable. Like, I'm committed. I'm brave. Brave, but I do always worry, like, yeah, I don't know, people might just see this and see what they think it is and attribute that to me and be like, Alec's just making crass bullshit, who cares about this?
Dismissive.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Or like they have their own conception of what any sort of, like, if I'm drawing characters like in the nude, jumping around doing crimes, like, it's kind of a tough sell to a certain crowd.
Sure, yeah. In the same way, I guess, like a sex criminals would have been or something,
yes,
right?
Yeah,
exactly. For sure. One of my favorite things about your characters is they all have an ego. They're all vain, but I think it plays into all of them. And then when they ultimately do bump heads or bump uglies, right? Like, I think it comes across really sincere. Why do you feel like that's a choice for your characters?
Ego's really funny to me. Like, I don't know, Hayes is a great character because it's just someone who is, they're almost like a manic pixie dream girl character in some ways, where they've got everything figured out, and they have attracted a crowd of people around them. Like in the comic, their team of thieves is, Hayes is the leader, Bluelick and Rat are like the team members.
The sidekicks.
They're the sidekicks, even if Hayes wouldn't think of them that way.
Sure.
But there's this implication that like they're following Hayes because Hayes has some spark to her. She understands about the world. And they're like, yeah, we want to be associated with that. We like what this offers us. And of course, that ego like means it's earned, but it's also, it's also like, I'm not judgmental of ego. I have a big ego sometimes, and if you're not like being a dick about it, it's just kind of fun to be really confident, cocky, and mean in a way. Like, nothing I respect more than someone who's really mean in a way that makes you feel loved. When like someone's kind of ribbing you, like, you messed up, but I don't care. You're great. And I feel like I lack that articulation sometimes, so I respect it in other people, and I like to put it in my characters.
Okay, like not a disparaging way, but you're just kind of like you knock them on the head, you knucklehead kind of sort of situation.
Yeah, but like, or even in a disparaging way, but they're like doing it in a way where like, that should have made me feel bad, but you're so articulate and kind and full of confidence that like, that I'm gonna be okay too, that now I believe you. It's welcoming, it's nurturing.
It's caring.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the main, I guess, antagonists is the algorithm. And I'm curious because a lot of what you have in the book talks and touches on this idea of like consumerism.
Yes.
So like they're in the future, they all live in these bubbles owned by corporations, which, you know what, I feel like we're not too far off from at some points.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because what that allows for, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm getting out of that is ultimately the algorithms in social media, in life in general, as they permeate us, they're ultimately for sales, right? Like ultimately you're getting an ad, you're getting marketing so that you can buy a product, and then at some point we're gonna live in these bubbles of just products.
It is the end game. I mean, like the algorithm in general is all servicing data harvesting and like they want to know who you are so they can sell to you. And a big part of the setting, like it takes place in this universe where the AI has been, I don't know how much I've revealed in the comic, but the idea is like, at a certain point, humanity handed the reins over to an algorithm, and the algorithm has taken care of them, but it's also distorted everything to just be the ultimate version of what we see on social media or in commercials. And I really needed a setting like that if I wanted the main characters to be thieves who are rebelling against a status quo. Because it's like, we can all relate to that end game you're talking about. Like you even said, like it doesn't feel too far off to live in a bubble owned by ExxonMobil or something. And like, again, it's very cartoony, it's very starkly exaggerated, but it's fun to have a character who's breaking the law all the time, and the law is run by this like all-knowing, all-seeing algorithm that is in the pocket of all these corporations. And I think the world that, like, again, I haven't shown too much of like everyday life in this world, but these people are so used to it that like it's the same way we don't think like a million commercials in between a TV show is weird because we grew up with it, but it is weird. It's like, that's not how it has to be. It's like a TV episode can just be art, but it has to be interrupted 30 times by commercials or preceded by them, or I don't know.
But I mean, like some of my childhood memories are literally jingles, right? 1-800-988, whatever. You know, it's just burned in the thing. But like, I have a coworker who's British and mentions, you know, like they don't have that. They have full 30-minute episodes. I'm like, what do you mean? A TV show is 24 minutes. Like,
do you remember, like the Disney Channel doesn't have commercials?
Is the Disney Channel break, right?
They have commercials for Disney products, so they could do like PBS. They could be, no commercials. It's Disney. We can afford this. But instead, it's like, no, we're keeping you literally inside our little bubble. It's dark. Yeah.
And I think one of the interesting things that you just said was, I'd sort of thought that in Mr. Boop, you'd come into the more meta aspect of it, like after the fact. Mm-hmm. But was that always an intention to get into some of that copyright piece?
Yeah, well, so like right from the beginning, it was meta because it's about me, like, and it's not real, but it's real. Yeah, exactly. I don't have an ego, but. I was trying to it's divided into 4 chapters, and each chapter kind of has its own theme. And like the first chapter is kind of just the same joke over and over again. And then I was like, there's a wall here, I cannot keep doing this, and there's so much more I can do with this concept.
I'm surprised she's not here with me, honestly.
I know, she's wandering. She'll be around, maybe we'll get lucky. And then chapter 2 is very much like metaphysical. It was like, okay, now that we've done this joke and run it into the ground, what if we went inward and explored why this joke is funny? What does it mean to this Alec character? And then, of course, somewhere in the midst of that, I actually did get like a cease and desist of some kind. It wasn't an official one, and I don't want to say too much because I don't know what that means legally, but it was always looming as like a big theme of the work that I'm appropriating all these copyrighted characters. So chapter 3 became entirely about like a Roger Rabbit type world where these cartoons are working people, and who are they owned by, and marriage is like a concept for owning somebody, and I think that's the best chapter. I think that's the one where I got the most juice.
That's where I feel like I started to hear about like, oh, you know, like this was a gag initially, but now there's like, you know, Alex, he's
got some juice.
he's speaking to something a little bit, and I'm surprised that in Crime Hot, that's like right out the gate. You know, that it very much so you're focusing on an idea and really building upon it, but building it within your the erotica and then the comedy element.
Yeah, it's I have like 9 chapters of Crime Hot planned out. If I do it right, it'll end in 9, and like it's all planned because I sat down and mapped out the whole story based on like all those themes I'm exploring. Like each chapter covers something a little different. Like 3 was all about the art world, and 4 is all about like sex versus the police. I don't know, like there's something I wanted to explore, whether it's a tiny idea or something big, in every single one, and I'm like, let me explore, let me figure out where this takes me. Chapter 4 is also a lot about bodies and identity and like how the government or somebody can control that. Like there's this element of like a body mod machine, and it implies that like the people in this world are told by the algorithm like, you need to use this to change a part of your body, and there's a lot of regulations on how this machine is used. But chapter 4 is all about these thieves breaking in and using this machine for their own benefit. And like that became 110 pages because I had a lot to say about that. And I feel like every chapter is getting longer and longer because,
I was gonna say, like, I appreciated that because you know, the first one's about 24 pages, then I think the next one's 42. And I didn't realize, like, as I was reading through, I felt like I was getting more and more engrossed, but I wasn't feeling the length necessarily. And so, like,
That's great.
Incredibly appreciative. Is the next book going to be like double the 110? Or?
We'll see. I have it outlined. I don't have it written, and it's, I think, at least as long as 4. And 4 was shorter when I first wrote it, so this means it'll probably get longer as I go, 5 is all about prison.
All right. Well, yeah, that's right. 10 years in the future, right? Well, not to spoil too much, but so my last question is, for Mr. Boop was a strip. It was a comic strip, and in this one, this is a more of a full-fledged comic. What was that decision to move to a larger format?
I love comic strips, and Mr. Boop was a lot easier than Crime Hot because paneling is hard and like doing page layouts is hard. So Mr. Boop is only a 4-panel strip because A, it works great for gags, and B, it's like a format I could do daily and share online. Crime Hot is not like as shareable, and I think one of the things I resented about Mr. Boop is like that it was easily turned into a viral thing. I mean, I appreciated that and I benefited from it, but I don't like being influenced to make something to fit like a cookie cutter. Like I don't want to make another thing that can be viral like Mr. Boop. I wanted to make something more like, I love manga. I love like the tankobon format of like a full volume of comics, and I'm using a similar size format for this. I just really wanted to do like a full actual, I mean, not that a comic strip isn't a comic, but like a traditional page turning comic. And also a 4-panel strip, like each 4 panels needs to be its own little standalone story, so to speak, or a joke. And Crime Hot needs to live longer, it needs to breathe bigger. So it was the only way to do it.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm so glad that people have been coming by to pick it up. And for anybody listening, you know, please go support Alec. His stuff's amazing.
You should do it. You should do that.
Is 4 going to be available online at any point? Yeah.
It'll be available as soon as like I'm back home, and I'll start putting it on the shop. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Excited to see it. Excited to see the rest of this as it unfolds.
I really appreciate it.
Where can everybody find you online?
My website is alec.land, and you can find all the other links from there. My Twitter, as we still call it, is at Alec Robbins. Another good place. Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been a blast. I appreciate it. Yeah.
And for anybody tuning in, I'm going to be here all weekend covering a number of artists like Alec here.
I'm an artist. I'm one of them.
And a great one at that. So thank you so much. Continue to follow us, you know, all the socials, the Comics Pals, on YouTube. Stay tuned, so there'll be a lot more content. But yeah, thank you again.